If you're unfamiliar with me, hello, I'm Lovesick. I have a complete C6, C7 spinal cord injury, meaning that I'm paralyzed from the collarbones all the way down. With limited hand function, such as the inability to use my fingers and relying solely on flexing my wrist for movement. I managed to beat Elden Ring back when it came out in 2022, but I'd like to document my journey throughout Shadow of the Erdtree and see if I can beat it. I never intended to make an Elden Ring video because I believe there are far more competent content creators out there, but a few people commented on my previous video asking for one, so I thought, why not? So if you came looking for insane iframe dodges, perfect parries, and the like, I think you may be disappointed. I will be playing with the character I used to get all the achievements in the base game, meaning I am entering the DLC at level 211, with these stats, with this equipment set, and on New Game Plus 3. And as suggested by GemToodle on my last video, I will be playing with the hand cam. Thank you for the idea, GemToodle. Before I go any further, I would like to warn anyone who is cautious of lore, dialogue, combat, or any other type of spoilers to leave now. Similar to the base game, I believe the DLC to be truly a gaming masterpiece, and wish everyone who wants to experience it for themselves first, and not have it be ruined by my janky gameplay. If this applies to you, I thank you for stopping by, and wish you the best on your journey through Shadow of the Erdtree. Alright, for everyone else who is still here, let's get started. A week prior, I went ahead and killed Mog so that I can start immediately once the DLC was released. I am starting my journey on June 20th, 2024 at roughly 3 PM. Once in the Land of Shadow, my game plan was to get all the map fragments first, then explore around while gathering graces. On my way to the first map fragment, I was caught off guard, and it was obvious that I was a bit rusty, which resulted in me dying to this enemy, damn it, a few times. But eventually, I got back into the rhythm of things. After getting the first map fragment, I headed east, where I met some NPCs before continuing on to Bellerot.
We work together for Mikola the Kind.
But now, like you, another soul guided by kindly Mikola.
Bellerot has a very old and abandoned atmosphere to it, so I was a little anxious while I was exploring around. Oh, Jesus Christ. Then, I made it to my first boss, the Divine Beast Dancing Lion. I believe this was a good first boss fight to reintroduce me into being patient and waiting for my turn in longer, extended fights. I died a few times before making an equipment change. I died another few times before making it to a phase 2 for the first time. After an hour since making it to a phase 2 for the first time, I had my best run so far. Now, I didn't know if it was because I'm on New Game Plus 3, or if this is just how difficult the DLC was going to be, but I was taking an immense amount of damage. I decided to check out the new area-specific level up mechanic called Shadow Realm Blessing, where I could use Shadow Tree fragments to bolster my abilities and negate damage. Was I taking less damage? Yeah, sure, maybe. I couldn't tell. I was too busy fighting for my life. But after 2 hours since upgrading my Shadow Realm Blessing, I did get to my new personal best. "40 minutes later, I was getting close. 20 minutes later, another 20 minutes later, finally. I'm embarrassed to admit this, but it took me around 4 hours to beat my first boss. After beating the dancing lion, I wasn't sure where to go because everywhere I went seemed to either be blocked or a dead end. I decided to return to the Grace outside and continue exploring around.
That tarnished, guided there by kindly Mikola.
While looking around, I came across a cave, and I decided to check it out. In this cave, I got startled. Again. Found some mystery meatloaf. Did some aerobics. But demi-human swordmaster owns Onze? And died. Took a break to eat dinner. Came back, beat Ons, and went back to exploring. Next, I found the ruined forge lava intake, which I recognized from the game trailer. I thought I'd be able to use this fire to burn the branches next to the dancing lion, but I was wrong. After stumbling around some more, I found the Western Nameless Mausoleum, where I fought Black Jail Knight, who had a very interesting choice of weapons. I almost managed to beat them on my first try too, but I got a bit greedy. But you know what they say, the second time's the charm. I was hoping that by beating Blackjail, I would be able to receive that sick crossbow they were using, but in the end, I ended up with just their armor, which I ended up liking a lot, so I can't complain. After finding a few more graces, I decided to call it a night here, for my first day in the DLC.
I can only assume he fights with but we need to be armed by fighting Nicola and guided here, and that makes us allies. We're not gods.
While laying in bed, I was planning for the second day, and thinking back to the trailer, I remembered seeing new weapons and weapon types. Not that there was anything wrong with the executioner's axe I was using, but after using it for so long, I wanted to change things up. I decided that for day 2, I would be looking to obtain new weapons while exploring around. With that goal in mind, I started the day by revisiting places that I might have ran by on my way to Graces. First, I found the Great Katana, which was a new weapon type, yes, but it felt similar to the weapon I was already using, so I kept looking around for another one. Next, I found Milady. I liked it the moment I put it on. Not only was it fast, but it had decent reach, but mainly I was sold on how stylish the animations were. But for now, I continued on with my axe till I could find a proper build. Next, I made my way to Castle Ansis, fighting through pretty tough enemies, until I got to the boss, Rolana. I think Rolana is a pretty fun fight. Her design and attack animations are really cool and unique. Prior to Shadow of the Erdtree coming out, I went and upgraded my Mimic tier to plus 10, just in case being on New Game plus 3 would make this DLC too hard. I know this is a very polarizing topic, and a lot of people discount a person's playthrough entirely for just using a Mimic tier, but after spending 4 hours on a boss the day before, and considering I'm playing with an actual handicap, I hope you can understand my justification for using it. After beating Rolana, I continued on, meeting some NPCs,
Were it not for the charm kindly Miquella put upon us.
Another, treading the heels of Miquella.
grabbing another map fragment, running for my life. While running, I heard a loud sound and was told, somewhere a great rune was broken, and so too has a powerful charm. At the time, I didn't know if it was triggered based on time, location, or what, so I couldn't tell if this was a good or bad thing, so I just kept moving. The next boss I fought was the Golden Hippopotamus. Here's how my first attempt went. Close. Sure. But you know what they say about the second attempt. After beating the golden hippopotamus, I continued on until I reached the specimen storehouse. Which, I would like to say, I personally think this place sucks. Next, I got to the ancient ruins, which I also think this place sucks. We're told that the map fragment is here, which seems close, right? So I thought, oh, maybe I could grab it and head back to the other part of the map and finish that first. No. I ended up running around this place aimlessly for 45 minutes only to be met with cliffside after cliffside after cliffside after cliffside. I do not like this place, but eventually I did find a grace and I just left. I did not want to come back. While looking around, I ran into a ghost flame dragon. This fight isn't particularly difficult. The boss moves rather slowly and has very large telegraphed attacks. But where this gets a little tricky is that there are a group of black knights in the area also fighting the dragon, who will turn and target you if you get too close. It did take a while, but I did manage to beat the dragon. Next was the Fort of Reprimand, where I fought Black Knight Erdtree. Then, I made it to the Fog Rift Catacombs. I know I'm not alone when I say this, but I strongly dislike catacombs. They're filled with nothing but tomfoolery. There is absolutely zero honesty in any catacombs. If you don't have to come here, I strongly recommend you don't. There's pogo stick shenanigans, falling ceilings, mage snipers, and at the end, you're just greeted by some Death Knight. The next place I checked out was the Church of the Crusade, where I fought this enemy. After that, I made it to the suppressing pillar, where I got a smithing stone. While looking at the view from atop the pillar, I decided this was a nice place to take a break and eat lunch. While eating lunch, I was thinking about the smithing stone I just received, and it reminded me of the weapons I obtained earlier this morning. Now, I'm not smart enough to theory craft my own weapons or builds, so I just searched up Elden Ring Milady build, and found this video by Fextralife. I watched the video while I ate, thought it was more than good enough for me, and concluded that this would be the build I would like to use throughout the DLC. After lunch, I went to upgrade Milady to plus 25. I changed its affinity, got the Wolf Crest shield, upgraded that to plus 25 as well. Plus 13. I ran out of runes to continue paying for upgrades, so I went to Renala and respec'd my stats. And after respecking, I got to try out my new build while farming for runes to pay for additional upgrades. Now that I'm no longer focusing on parrying, I changed my buttons to be more accessible. With some more runes in my pocket, I fully upgraded the shield to plus 25. With my gear figured out, I went back to looking at the map and I gave up looking north, so I decided to look south because there seems to be a little bit down here that also juts out into this L shape. On the way there, I came across my favorite place that I've been to in the entire game, the Cerulean Coast. I think the blue and white flowers swaying in the wind with the gray chunks of fallen architecture sprinkled around looks really neat. And I truly think this place could be very peaceful and serene. You know, if it wasn't a FromSoft game. Eventually, I made it to Stone Coffin Fissure, which, if you've been to, you know, it's just such a great place to be. I love it here so much. Truly. Now usually I don't listen to player messages, but I figured there was a grace right behind me, so if I did die, I wouldn't be responding too far away. And I noticed this purple haze coming up from below, so I figured, why not? Well. Unfortunately, I made plans that evening, so this would be my last attempt before I had to go. By the time I got back, it was already pretty late. I had about 25 minutes before my typical bedtime, but I still wanted to play. I didn't end up recording this session because I figured it'd be short anyway, but I used these 25 minutes to collect more Shadow Tree fragments and Spirit Ashes. raising my Shadow Tree blessing to 9 and Spirit Ash blessing to 5 before going to bed. While laying in bed, I was reflecting on what I did that day and I felt pretty accomplished. I managed to achieve my goal by finding a new weapon. Awesome. But I also felt a bit cross. I felt a little scummy for using the Mimic tier. I knew that people wouldn't be happy with me for using it, and I honestly thought about that a lot. In the end, I concluded that maybe with my new Shadow Realm blessing, I would be able to take less damage while doing more damage, and wouldn't need as much help. So I pledged that night to give every major boss fight from here on a few honest, meaningful, and solo attempts first, before summoning the Mimic tier. Going into day 3, I had a new sense of drive, ambition, and excitement to try my best in upcoming boss fights. Little did I know, day 3 was going to be my longest day. While collecting Shadow Tree fragments the night prior, I ran into this NPC who had a questline that happened to coincide with the current boss I was fighting.
I'm heading south. I've recalled something that Sir Moore said. He discovered deep purple water lilies. That must be where Centrina was left to wither away.
I know last night I pledged that I would attempt boss fights solo first before summoning the Mimic tier, but I didn't know if I beat this boss without summoning the NPC would the quest end, so I ended up summoning them every time. I hope you can understand. The Putrescent Knight was a rough boss, for sure. Not only are they mounted, so they're much faster and larger than I am, but I was soon going to learn that they're the first of many bosses who have very bizarre end lag on their moves, which would trick me into rolling early just to get smacked by an attack the moment I came out of iframes. Additionally, the move where they send out blue flames, I never knew what to do. You'll see me try and run close, run away, roll into it, just to get clipped almost every time. It's a fun fight though. I just look kinda dumb rolling before I get hit. Those were all my quote-unquote solo attempts. Now I'll be showing my attempts with the Mimic tier. Finally, a couple hours later, the Putrescent Knight was defeated. After that, I continued the questline.
Oh, Centrina, what velvety ambrosia is this? Your poison and the sweet sleep that follows. Oh, please. Let me Hello. Thank you for your help. I'm drifting off in the sea of her poison. Soon I will hear her voice. Let me be. I won't be long. Oh, I almost forgot. You mustn't follow my example. Centrina's poison would plunge you into an attack. It must be me. And I am gone, so that I may hear Centrina's lost voice. Let me be. grant me more of your poison, that I might drift further into sleep. Perhaps then you'll grace me with your voice. Please. Don't turn the poor thing into a god. You must kill Mikhail. Grant him forgiveness. Please. I'll thank you not to lie to me. I am the chosen, not you. Only I can doze off in the sea of Centrina. Why would you hear her voice when I cannot? If you should utter these cruel untruths to me again, I won't be held responsible for my actions. Please, enough. I cannot believe your cheek, and I will stand for it no longer. I will never forgive you. For your trespass, you will know my poison. I was no good to anyone. Weak as a kitten. I suppose dying in disgrace is fitting. In a way. Tell me, assuming you spoke the truth back then, what did Centrina tell you? You are a wretched, wretched soul. A nightmare come to plague. Such a thing could end. In my everlasting Centrina, let me hear your voice in my everlasting slumber.
Because I watched the Fextra Life video yesterday, I assumed that's why I was getting recommended a 100% Shadowkeep guide. I noticed it was over an hour long, and considering I didn't spend anywhere near that amount of time there, I decided to return to Shadowkeep, looking for things that I missed.
Mongrel intruder.
Oh no.
That tarnished, it seemeth. Mother, wouldst thou truly lordship sanction in one so bereft of life? Yet, my purpose standeth unchanged. Those stripped of the
race of gold shall all meet death. In the embrace of Mesmer's flame.
I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting to see Mesmer so soon. I know typically, the cover art boss on FromSoft DLCs are never the final boss, as there's always a secret boss that isn't shown in promotional material, but still, I felt like it was pretty early to see Mesmer.
In the embrace of Mesmer's flame. Straight of the race of gold shadow death. In the embrace of Mesmer.
Now, I will be fighting alongside with my mimics here.
I will not suffer. A lord devoid of light.
Oh man.
No, mother. Forgive me.
No, 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 no.
Soon tarnished. Wilt thou be taken in the jaws of the abyssal serpent shorn of light?
After the first 2 hours of fighting Mesmer, I was so desperate to beat him that I was rummaging through my inventory looking for greases to apply, or any help at all. After 3 hours total of fighting Mesmer, I decided to get more Shadow Tree fragments and then return. Because despite being at blessing level 10, I wasn't feeling very blessed at all. That's when I found myself at Commander Gaius. Between the 3 hours I just spent at Mesmer and the next few hours I was going to spend here, you can probably see why this day was my longest. I'm going to skip all of my solo attempts because they all just end like this. So every attempt moving forward is with the Mimic tier. This fight was pretty difficult for me. Not only were they mounted on a steed similar to the Putrescent Knight, but Commander Gaius also had very delayed moves, and the board they were riding on had a very weird hitbox. Commander Gaius was basically like the Putrescent Knight, but faster. Once my Mimic tier was defeated, it was very challenging for me to deal with the aggression. I could never tell when it was my turn to go or if I should keep evading. The offense was just relentless. I was here for so long that I ended up watching a stream of someone else playing the DLC on the side, so this clip you're going to hear 2 game audios. I apologize for that, but I promise it's just this clip. After 3 hours, Commander Gaius was defeated, and at last I got to be rewarded for my efforts and the reason why I even came here. 5 Shadow Tree fragments. I then got my Shadow Realm Blessing to 13 and returned to Mesmer. Being at Blessing level 13, surely I had enough to handle Mesmer. Having a higher blessing level, I did manage to get to phase 2 more consistently, yes, but I was still struggling. One thing in particular was my rolling. I'm not sure if it's from instinct or if I was conditioned from other games, but I kept rolling away from Mesmer, which sounds fine, sure. But he has a very long spear that when I roll away, I'm just a prime target for him to poke and prod me. So I know I need to roll into him and be more aggressive, but instinctually I was struggling. You can see me physically telling myself to roll into Mesmer. Let's see if I can follow my own advice and defeat Mesmer. I could not. But I was close. How about a second try of rolling into him?
I will not suffer.
This was a total of 4, maybe 4.5 hours, but it was finally over. After beating Mesmer, I figured there weren't many required bosses left to finish the DLC, so I decided to find optional bosses and tie up some quest lines before moving on. First was the Erdtree avatar. I found this fight to be pretty fair. I only had 2 gripes. 1, the plants and debris around the arena make it a little difficult to see when it's doing a sweep or when it's sending out the wave of thorns. And 2, it's very large, and in the later phases it gets very sporadic movements. I don't think this is an issue for 99% of players, but as someone with 0 function in my fingers, I heavily rely on the target lock-on function. So when a move is like this, it whips my camera around, and it's very disorientating. Again, I know this isn't an issue for most players, and this fight is probably considered very easy, so I'm not complaining. I'm just stating the challenges I faced while playing as a quadriplegic. And as a result of this, I end up using the Mimic tier much sooner in my number of attempts than I would have liked. After the Shadow Tree avatar, I made my way to Ymir to do their questline.
Oh yes, do mind your feet around. You wouldn't want to hurt the little boy. Poor thing. Another bad dream, Yuri. Wipe that rotten thing out of your mind. That tangled mess can't hurt you. Oh, there you are. The exalted timbre of the bell is gracious, the starry. Only your fate shines from now. Think nothing of it. I have made my decision to be of help. May the gleaming stars guide you evermore. Ever young Mikola saw things for what they were. He knew that his bloodline was tainted, his roots mired in madness. A tragedy if ever there was one. That he would feel compelled to renounce everything when the blame lay squarely with the mother. Join the glimmering stars above.
Ah, who have we here? And for that, I express my gratitude. I am Yolan, loyal to Count Ymir. The night is Ymir in our eye. Our meeting, we know that we will never. I have spoken far too freely. Pay me no mind. Let us focus on our shared purpose. Now, be on your way.
By the time I got to the last leg of the quest, I was pretty exhausted. At this point, I have played for 10.5 hours, and it was 7 PM. I haven't had much to eat, so I decided to call it here, and finish Ymir's questline tomorrow. While in bed, I was thinking about what I did today, and I was very satisfied with myself. I gave my best effort in boss fights, cleared a number of bosses, and even had some optional bosses on the way. But mainly, I was really proud of myself. Proud that I was able to adapt and overcome these bosses, although very slowly, and after many hours, I did do it, and I went to bed that night very happy. Day 4 was a Sunday, and after the long day previously, I slept in a bit and felt rejuvenated for today. All that was required to finish Ymir's quest was to fight Erdtree, Metir, Mother of Fingers. My first attempt wasn't the greatest. Similar to the Shadow Tree avatar, Metir was large with quick movements too. So not only was I fighting the boss, but I was also fighting the camera. Again, I know this isn't an issue for most players, and this fight is probably really easy. This was just what I had to deal with. After I defeated Matir, I went to turn in the quest. I was not expecting to be attacked.
You've wounded Count Emir most irreparably, such that he wishes to be dead. I must attend to the Count's concern. My dear star, a fine mother, you will be.
My shining star, grant me a mother's strength. Look here at my fingers. I will be the true mother, and I will be the only mother.
Fighting Ymir was a little bit tricky because I didn't know they could teleport, and when they teleported, the camera would lose them. But now that I knew what to expect, I planned on rushing Ymir to not allow them a chance to teleport. Next, a buddy of mine told me there was an optional boss in the Abyss, and all that he told me was to look for a large building. And to get to the Abyss, I had to go through the Dark Light Catacombs, and if you remember what I said about catacombs, I know I'm not alone when I say this, but I strongly dislike catacombs. They're filled with nothing but tomfoolery. There is absolutely zero honesty in any catacombs. At the end of the catacombs, I fought Jory, Elder Inquisitor, which I'm sure isn't a hard fight for most people, but Jory teleports too. couldn't lock on to them, so I struggled a bit. After beating Jory, I was able to go to the Abyss, which is a really creepy place. First, in the Abyss, it is eerily quiet. Second, if you try to summon Torrent, you are told your steed is too frightened to be summoned. Which is terrifying, because after all we fought together, I'd consider Torrent to be a very brave horse. So that, contextualizes the atmosphere of this place. Additionally, there are cryptic messages written on the ground that say, "Don't let it see you. Once you are seen, there's no escape, and it cannot even be touched." These aren't even messages left by other players. I was unable to praise the messages, so I assumed that they were baked into the game. I didn't know what it was, but, message received. My plan was to grab the map fragment, fight the boss, and get out of here. So far so good. I got the map fragment, and I found a grace without being seen. Now I just have to look for a big building. I was seen. Okay, that was my fault. I was running out in the open. I should have expected that. I figured if I stayed in the shadows next time, I'd be safe. The other way. I'm pretty sure I wasn't seen, and it only heard me and followed me based on that. So I tried equipping the talisman that eliminates all sounds. And then I found it. A building.
Come no closer. No closer, I say. The man is quiet.
After making it through the library, I made it to the boss my friend told me about.
The depths of your foolishness! Enough. I have endured more than enough. I ask you forgive me, dearest Nanaya.
Midra, the Lord of Frenzied Flame. This fight seems pretty standard with large sword swings and the occasional projectile, but if every boss before had delayed attacks, this boss's moves were like in slow motion. If the Putrescent Knight tricked me into rolling a second too early, Midra felt like I was rolling 5 seconds too early. It is a really fun fight that you have to focus on and you can't just autopilot. But looking at my deaths in post, I do look really silly, either rolling too early or not even rolling at all. With every optional boss that I knew of defeated, I figured it was time to finish the DLC. And I made my way back to the ancient ruins in the top left portion of the map. I don't know if this is a bug or if I did something wrong, but when I got to this boss there was already a wall of fog, and they didn't have a cutscene or monologue. Nothing game breaking, but I just thought it was worth mentioning. My first attempt was pretty embarrassing. But you know what they say about the second attempt? After beating Romina, Saint of the Bud, I went to burn the ceiling tree. Next is to fight Needle Knight, Letta, and their allies.
It's been quite some time. It was never kindly Mikula, was it? The Erdtree was leading you all along, so that you might ascend to lordship. Why come to these lands to begin with? I suppose it must be what His Eminence, or perhaps the Erdtree desired all along. The clashing of the favored lords, such that one would prevail. So be it. If you insist upon facing Mikula the Kind, then I will run you through whoever you might be. Don't tarry now.
This fight is so tough, you can summon 2 NPCs. One from St. Trina's storyline, and another additional NPC.
Don't you dare approach Mikula the Kind. Needle Knight Legend, Dryleaf Dane, and our allies will never allow this.
It is just as the woman said it would be. Lord of the Erdtree, Lord of Marika, you two deserve to face the reckoning.
I thought I would be fighting one enemy at a time, but it starts with 1, and then 2, until I'm fighting 3 enemies at once. Letta with their allies, me with my 2 summoned NPCs, and my mimics here. This fight was pretty chaotic. Another thing that makes this fight challenging is that each enemy can heal once. I do think it's a very unique fight. I don't know a time when I fought multiple characters I've met through the game at once, so it was pretty cool.
For speaking to you as a compatriot.
I am deeply sorry for doubting you. I am here to grant St. Trina's single way. I will stop Mikula the Kind. You will never be forgotten.
But with so much going on the field, I had to dodge constantly, and I found myself running out of stamina. I tried changing my talisman to the one that boosts maximum stamina. Still no good. I decided to grab the 2-headed turtle talisman. This is how my first attempt went with the new talisman. And here's my second.
Lord of the Erdtree, Lord of Marika, you two deserve to face the reckoning. Mikula, please.
Once Letta and their allies were defeated, I made my way to the next boss. Little did I know, it was the final boss of the DLC.
My loyal blade and champion of the festival. Both your deeds will ever be praised in song. Now, the vow will be honored, and my lord brother's soul will return, so that he may be my consort.
This fight is really difficult. Again, like every boss before him, Radahn has a huge reach with his moves, with end leg, and on top of that, he does tons of damage while having a bunch of health. I was desperate to do more damage, so I switched my lady's affinity to a bleed one.
Lord brother. At long last you are returned. Tarnished one. Aspiring lord of the old order. If you have known sin, if you grieve for this world, then yield the path forward to us. To I, Nicola, and my promised consort, Radahn.
After switching to bleed, I was able to make it to a phase 2 for the first time. Making it to a phase 2 today was enough for me. I already beat a couple bosses today, so I got off early and prepped footage for editing. Going to bed that night, I was excited for the next day. After a couple days of playing and struggling, after hearing about Mikola all throughout the DLC, I was finally fighting him. The end was near. To prepare for the final boss, I went and gathered Shadow Tree fragments and Spirit Ashes, raising my blessing to 20 and Spirit Ash blessing to 10. Phase 2 is tough. Despite being at blessing level 20, the damage I was taking was still a lot. And even with my Spirit Ash blessing at level 10, my Mimic tier was dying much quicker than I would have liked.
I promise you, 1,000-year voyage guided by compassion. Lord of the Old Order, let us go together.
I decided to try to get Radon to phase 2 by myself, then summon the Mimic tier to preserve its health as much as possible. I was so desperate to mitigate damage that despite how unappealing I thought it looked, I switched my armor to the one I owned with the most defense. I gave up trying to get to phase 2 on my own and went back to summoning the Mimic tier. Back to phase 2, I did not know how to dodge or evade this move. There's just a bunch of light that rains on you from above and I just run. In this run, I learned that if Mikola grabs my Mimic tier, then that gives me an opening. But even if I had an opening, it seemed that Milady wasn't doing enough damage to capitalize on it, so I decided to try a new weapon.
The stars, the sky, I see them not. No light anywhere at all. This is the night I know. Our night.
To upgrade the Sword of Night to plus 10, I needed another somber ancient dragon smithing stone, so I got to return to the Cerulean coast to fight a second Ghost Flame dragon. With the Sword of Night, I was doing a bit more damage, maybe, and got to phase 2 relatively easier. I forgot to switch back my turtle armor. Still not good enough. I wanted to respec and try fighting Radahn with another weapon. The Executioner's Axe.
Become my blade once more.
I have gone back to the Executioner's Axe, but with a twist. My best friend since 5th grade used it with a bleed affinity and a Savage Lion Claw's Ash of War. I decided to try this setup too. I needed just a bit more FP, so I respec'd for just a few more points in mind. Reallocated my flash charges, and I was ready to go. I would be finishing the DLC with the weapon I came here with. I died this attempt, but this was the furthest I've gotten versus Radahn. Put the turtle armor back on. A new personal best. My mimics here almost killed Radahn while I was dead. We're getting close. Finally. Oh my goodness. After beating Radahn and Miquella, I put my armor back on, just in case I would be featured in another cutscene.
Lord brother, I'm going to be a god. If we honor our part of Promise me you'll be my consort. I'll make the world a gentler place.
I don't know how this NPC got here, but I paid them my respects for their assistance versus Leda. After that, there's only one thing left. I finished Shadow of the Erdtree on June 24th, 2024 at 2:11 p.m. Well, that's it. That was my first time finishing Shadow of the Erdtree as a quadriplegic. You only get one first playthrough, and I'm glad I was able to share that experience. I say finish Shadow of the Erdtree and not complete, because now that I can scroll freely on social media without fear of spoilers, it seems that there are a few bosses that I missed. Maybe someday, when I have more time and more energy, I'd like to revisit Shadow of the Erdtree and try to beat every boss without the Mimic Tear. But that's for another time. Also, on social media, I'm seeing people say that the DLC isn't good because it's too hard. And I'd say, yeah, it is hard. It was the first time I had to use the Mimic Tear and use it for just about every boss. But despite the difficulty, I think it's manageable if you invest time into it. If anyone is struggling, I'd offer 3 words of advice. 1. Get some Shadow Tree fragments and level up your blessing. There are a bunch available that aren't tied to a boss fight, and I think if you just get a few, it'll help you a lot. 2. Try new builds. Consider respecking, trying out new weapons, new spells, or new Ashes of War. And 3. Do not use Milady. I know I just said try new weapons, but as I'm editing and reviewing my footage, I think Milady made my playthrough a lot more challenging. So that'd be my 3 words of advice to anyone struggling. Get your blessing up, try new builds, please don't use Milady. Speaking of editing, like I said in the beginning, I never planned on making this video. Although I'm tired and exhausted and losing my voice, editing it for a week straight, I am really excited to share my experience. Originally, when I decided to upload videos, I thought I'd be a Tekken-focused channel, but I'm not that great at Tekken, nor is that the only game I play. Maybe I could just make content about trying and playing games as a quadriplegic? I'm not sure. I would like to hear from you. What would you like to see from me in the future? I'll be around for a few days after this is posted to read comments, so if you have any suggestions or anything you'd like to say, I'd love to read them. Again, I wasn't expecting to be working on a video so soon, let alone one of this size, so I'm going to be taking a break to decompress and relax. I was playing SMT5 Vengeance prior to Shadow of the Erdtree coming out, so I'll probably go back and finish that. I know the Kingdom Hearts games just came to Steam, so maybe I'll go revisit those. I also bought Under Night in Birth 2 while it was on sale. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do, but I'm just gonna relax. I don't know what my next video will be about, or when it's gonna come out, but I hope you'll be there. Thank you so much for watching.